Breaking news, my people. Secrets have been revealed. A lot have been coming to surface ever since the Kuje prison attack. We even learned that they have an informant, that is an insider, someone that knows every nook and cranny of a prison, led this attack. And we have a reliable news saying that they were also led by ex-terrorist inmates who knew every location, every nook and cranny. Follow me as I bring you along on eyewitnesses story, from security operatives, from residents close to the Kuje prison, how they narrated what they went on. One even said, I took cover, put my phone on silent, covered the screen to save my dear life, it says. This is coming from a security operative that is supposed to be one of those that would, guide the facility from these attackers. But obviously, all man for himself, he had to save his life first. So he went into hiding instead of protecting the facility. That is the kind of society we find ourselves to deal. There's nothing we can do about it anyway. Maybe the man is not even paid well, in a country where everybody fends for him or herself first before you even think of a country, before you even think of anyone. It's just so sad. Really, really sad. Follow me as I give you details on this news. But first of all, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please make sure you subscribe. Hit the like button. Most importantly, click on the notification bell so that you can get notified whenever we post a new video. Without further ado, let's dive straight into the details of today's news. Famous for accommodating rich and wealthy suspects and other VIP criminals, the Medium Security Custodian Center in Kuje Area Council of Abuja, Nigeria's capital city, is under fresh scrutiny. Anxieties escalated last Tuesday when terrorists stormed the custodian center in a nighttime attack that featured the detonation of several bombs and the deployment of rocket-propelled grenades, general-purpose machine guns, and an assortment of AK-49 assault rifles, AK-47 assault rifles, and service pistol. These people were ready to bring down the facility. They came more prepared than those security operatives on night watch in the facility. According to the federal government even said that they overpowered the security operatives at the facility because they had more weapons. They had more sophisticated weapons than security operatives. Nigeria, which way? It's not like we don't have money to buy these weapons, though. But money went meant for these arms. Money went meant for these equipment for the security operatives to fight for. One man would just carry the money and put in his own pocket, Armed to the teeth, the audacious attackers overcame the might of a security agent, setting free more than 800 inmates held at the custodian center. They killed one operative, a personnel of the Nigerian Security and the Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, identified as Iliyasu, and 4 inmates. The security agent who witnessed the attack told NEWSROOM media in an exclusive chat that he took cover to save his life when he saw how the custodian center fell so cheaply into the terrorists' hands, creating the opportunity for them to have a field day. According to operative, he had to put his phone in silent mode and clutch the screen tightly to his belly to prevent the low-intensity blue light from shining through. Because he kept on receiving calls from his comrades and didn't want his cover to be blown by any distraction, he explained, I received a call that night to come around the main entrance to the custodian center because there was a problem. So I asked a colleague who was around at that time to accompany me to the place. As we were about to start the car, we heard the bang of a detonated bomb, and 2 more explosives were activated in a quick succession. At that point, we knew that letting the attackers catch a glimpse of us would be suicidal, so we took cover immediately. I threw away the car key and the armory key that was with us at that time because we feared that would be looted without mercy if we were caught by terrorists. Expectedly, phone calls started pouring in from many of my contacts. I had to put the handset in silent mode and clutch the screen tightly to my belly so that the light wouldn't expose my hiding place. I believe the attackers were led by some of the ex-terrorists who had been released from custody because they seemed to have perfect knowledge of the location of everything as they carried out their attacks. They were even calling out the nicknames of some officers and asking for their whereabouts. After about 2 hours of the rampage, I started hearing, "Let us go, let us go, let us go." However, I didn't feel very comfortable coming out of my hiding place just yet, so I stayed put. After about 30 minutes, the terrorists made a return to the custodian center, this time more reinforced than the first time. However, they couldn't find any security operatives on the ground, so they left and didn't return again. Asked what he would have done if the terrorists had nabbed him, the security agent responded, "I thank God I was wearing a 3/4 short and a t-shirt. I would have told them that I was only an inmate running for his dear life." Imagine. Hey, God, a security operative. Wow. This is an embarrassment to the Nigerian state because the highly successful jailbreak in Abuja, the seat of the country's federal power, raises serious concern over the competence of those tasked to run the security operatives and the custodian centers. In all, the attackers, who have been identified as members of the Islamic State West African Province, ISWAP, freed 64 of their fellows who were still detained at the custodian center. In addition to these high-profile enemies of the state, hundreds of other suspected criminals also escaped detention and made their way back into the society. That's unleashing bandits into the society again. We are in for it too. From time to time, violent crimes have been traced to these escapees in different parts of the country. Recall the case of 35-year-old Emmanuel Joseph, an ex-convict who was nabbed barely 2 weeks ago for allegedly raping an 80-year-old woman, Mrs. Alice Mogboju Bola, on Lotugbe Street in Ondo State. Curiously, the ISWAP terrorists who attacked the Kuje Custodian Center did not attack homes in the neighborhood. However, while some terrified residents flee to safe places like church and mosque buildings, others locked up themselves and their family members at home, waiting for the worst to happen. Sharing her experience with Saturday News, Miss Mercy, a 25-year-old woman from Akwa Ibom, who resides within the estate directly behind the medium security custodian center, said that she was having a bath about 10 p.m. when the attack began. She said, "Not long after I returned home from my business, I entered the bathroom to have a bath when all of a sudden I heard the bang that followed the detonation of bombs in the neighborhood. The impact shook many of the buildings in the area, including mine. So I fled the bathroom with soap bubbles all over my body, grabbed a wrapper and headed to the room where my children were sleeping. I mounted the youngest child on my back and held the other one tightly in my right hand. The sporadic gunshots were too much. I couldn't flee my house because my children were too young. So I stayed back waiting for the terrorists to attack us and kill me and my children. I was determined to die with them in my house than leave them behind and run. Fortunately, we were not attacked, so I thank God for everything. This occurrence is not a coincidence, but a huge clue that the attackers were on a mission to set free some of their affiliates who had been arrested for terrorism and kept in the Kuje custodian center. Remember that the kidnappers from the Abuja-Kaduna train explosion have given governments so many ultimatums to release their fellow terrorists that have been kept in prison, and the government have failed to do that. So maybe that is why they had to do it themselves. But let's continue. After 24 hours, only about 430 inmates have been recaptured. Wow, that's a lot of criminals still out there. The Nigerian Correctional Service said, so this means that an estimated 50% of the escapee inmates, some of whom are terrorists, hardened criminals, kidnappers, carjackers, and rapists, are on the loose. Going down history lane, it might take a long time to recapture the fugitives. This situation has already exacerbated tensions in the nation's capital. In the aftermath of the attack, early on Wednesday morning, a viral advisory circulated among FCT residents via WhatsApp, cautioning people against giving car lifts to strangers or stopping in lonely places. Good morning, AD. Kindly take note of the following. 300 terrorists attack Kuje prison with RPGs, releasing hundreds of prisoners, leaving only a few after roll call by 2 a.m. Boko Haram terrorists were all released. Attack lasted for 2 hours. They attacked through the back of a prison, planted bombs around the prison. If you are in Abuja today, be careful who you pick on the road. Don't stop at lonely places. Open your car and shut it immediately. Watch while driving. Tell others where you are headed. This is real. These guys are definitely not going far less than 12 hours after escape. They are still within Abuja to blend before leaving. Please go and read National Security Strategy Act and the Laws of the Federation 1990 as amended. Our national security has been compromised. Feel free to share with loved ones in Abuja, please. The advisory reads, apparently fundamental problems dog the Kuje Maximum Security Custodian Center in Abuja, some of which include overcrowding, physically old and dilapidated infrastructure, as well as understaffing. Above all of these issues, the recalcitrance of the custodian authorities appears to be the most noticeable impediment to the virile correctional system in Nigeria. An officer of the NCS in Kuje, who didn't want his name in print because of fear of vilification, told Saturday News that he had a premonition of the attack and shared his concerns with the authorities, but nothing was done to address them. Speaking, the officer said, Just last week, I was discussing with my friend that I have a deep gut feeling that danger was in the horizon. I don't know why I felt so. I thought perhaps it was because I was also concerned that the entrance to the custodian center was gradually turning into a commercial hub. What? What can they be selling in front of a correctional center? Like, who are those people patronizing them? How can a market be in front? Nigeria, oh, it's like we are in such a circus. Like, it's so funny. Let's continue. Someone had come to set up a point of sale POS mini banking service near the main entrance to the custodian center. Not long after, another person came around to do a similar thing, but I confronted the second fellow and asked him to quit. He withdrew his plans. I gave up after a third business person came near the first POS shop to set up his own stand and added the sale of soft drinks and snacks to it. It was not against people, and I was not against people engaging in business to fend for themselves, but the canopies and umbrellas they set up were not enabling us see far into the open distance. So I reported to the authorities that the menace was blocking our visions and not allowing us to work well, but the management ignored the alarm, and today we have been caught unawares. A tally by Saturday News put the number of jailbreaks in the Kuje Medium Security Custodian Center under the President Muhammadu Buhari administration stands at 3 attempts in 7 years. So far, 2 attacks have been successful while 1 flopped woefully. Prior to last Tuesday's attack, on 24 June 2016, there was a jailbreak at the Kuje Medium Security Custodian Center where 2 high-profile inmates in the persons of Solomon Amodu and Maxwell Ajukwe, who were both awaiting trial for homicide, escaped from custody by scaling through the fence. However, 2 months later, on 29 August 2016, another attempted jailbreak was foiled at the same custodian center. The situation was quickly put under control and order was restored as no prisoner was injured or any property damaged in the facility. Some analysts blame the slow, crooked justice system and the refusal of state governors to sign death warrants of some condemned inmates for creating room for the attacks on custodian centers across the country. According to the president of Yoruba Council Worldwide, Are Omoluabi Oladotun Azan, prisoners deserve to be treated well. They are still part of the society. If that cannot be achieved, the inmates of the custodian centers will begin to plot how to escape their conditions. It says that to get a good start, there is a need to build more modern correctional facilities and work should be swiftly completed on the new structures under construction. There must be a strong security build-up around our correctional centers in order to guide against further jailbreak that is so rampant nowadays. Most importantly, the prosecution of criminals must be speedily carried out and appropriate justice served on them in record time, it told Saturday News. To get around this, governments in some countries of Western world are partnering with the private sector to build and operate friendly prisons. For instance, in the UK and North America, a private company, G4S, runs some of the prisons. Adopting non-custodial sentencing is another alternative, as is the case in Germany. So Nigeria is not bereft of ideas on what to do to improve the security of its custodian centers. Worrisome is also the fact that most of the awaiting trial inmates of custodian centers are there on state offenses. It is therefore an anomaly to keep everybody in federal prisons because the prison system ought to be decentralized in a country where there is true federalism. To ensure a holistic prison reform, some experts have advised that the National Assembly should delete the prison system from the exclusive legislative list and place it on the concurrent list. This could be the game changer because it will encourage the state governors to invest a chunk of their humongous security votes into the prison system and do so competitively among themselves. Let me know what you think in the comment section. This is such a long video and I hope you enjoyed it. Give this video a thumbs up if you do. Most importantly, click on the notification bell so that you can get notified whenever we post a new video. I enjoyed making this video. I hope you enjoyed watching too. I will see you in my next video. Bye for now.